All right, let's just jump right in. The AI world is moving so fast, it's almost impossible to keep up. And the biggest players, well, they're making some absolutely massive strategic moves to try and get ahead. So today, we're going to break down the battle plans of these AI titans.
You know, when you peel back all the layers, it really boils down to one simple question. In a field this unbelievably competitive, how do you actually win? And what's fascinating is that the answers, well, they are wildly different depending on who you ask.
So what are we seeing? It looks like three totally distinct strategies are starting to emerge. Are you going to win by buying taste, aesthetic perfection? Or is it about building bigger and bigger machines? Or maybe you just raise billions and billions of dollars. Let's break down each one of these.
So what do these battle plans actually look like in the real world? This isn't just about who has the best algorithm anymore. Nope, it's a multi-front war for the best talent, the most data, and just raw, unbelievable computing power. And first up, we've got a titan with a classic two-pronged attack.
Okay, let's kick things off with Meta. Their strategy is kind of simple but really powerful. If you can't build it fast enough yourself, just go out and buy it. And if you want to attract the absolute best talent, well, you build them the biggest, most insane playground imaginable.
So that buy strategy, it kicked off with this really big announcement. Meta is officially teaming up with Midjourney. Now, if you've seen those stunning, super artistic AI images online, there's a good chance they came from Midjourney. Meta's whole goal here is to bake Midjourney's, quote, aesthetic technology right into its own products.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Midjourney's founder, David Holtz, he jumped in pretty quickly to clarify things. He said, hey, we're still an independent lab, no investors. This tells you it's a partnership, not an acquisition. So Meta isn't just trying to hoover up talent. They want access to the absolute best-in-class tech, even if they can't own it outright. That's a big deal.
So, why Midjourney? Specifically, there are other tools out there, right? Well, not all image generators are the same. You've got tools like Ideogram, which are amazing for practical, day-to-day business stuff because they're so good at following your exact text prompts. But Midjourney is a different beast entirely. Its strength is pure aesthetics. It's all about creating those visually arresting images where the #1 goal is just beauty.
And this move, it just perfectly highlights a much bigger trend. Think about it. Spotify didn't just give you access to music, it curated your taste with playlists. Netflix didn't just host shows, it shaped what the whole world was watching. What Meta is doing here is trying to embed taste directly into its core infrastructure. They're trying to level up the quality of all that AI-generated content that's already flooding their platforms.
But, buying the best taste out there is only half the battle. Now we get to the other side of Meta's strategy, build. The company just inked a massive, and I mean massive, $10 billion deal with Google. And this is all about one thing, securing the raw computing power needed for what's called AI inference. That's the sheer energy it takes to run these gigantic models at a scale that's, well, it's just hard to even comprehend.
And here's exactly why that $10 billion number is so important. As Mark Zuckerberg himself has said, the absolute best minds in AI, they all want one thing above everything else, access to unconstrained compute. This $10 billion deal, it's basically a giant blinking sign to the world's top researchers that says, come to Meta, we'll give you nearly infinite resources to build whatever you can dream up.
Okay, let's totally pivot now to a completely different playbook. While Meta is out there spending billions, Elon Musk's company, xAI, is playing a very different game. They're all in on the open source gambit with their model, Grok.
So the company recently open-sourced Grok 2.5, and that gave all of us our first real look under the hood. It's a huge model, 268 billion parameters. And you can think of parameters as all the little knobs the AI can turn to learn and make decisions. It also uses something called a mixture of experts architecture, which is a really clever way to only fire up the parts of the model you need for a specific task. Makes it way more efficient. But while the tech itself is pretty powerful, the release sparked a whole debate. On one side of that debate, you have critics like AI engineer Tim Kellogg, and he basically looked at it and said, so what? Why did this take so long? From his point of view, the model wasn't doing anything particularly new or groundbreaking, and the release just felt late. Like it didn't really offer much that was new to the research community. But then, on the other hand, you've got researchers like Sebastian Roschka who totally praised the move.
His point was, look, it is incredibly cool and pretty rare for the open source community to get their hands on the actual full-size model that was being used in a real live product, not some watered-down, smaller version. So for a lot of people, this was a really significant and welcome gift to the community.
And, you know, in a classic Elon Musk move, he also just kind of threw out this idea for a new AI software company, cheekily naming it Macrohard. The concept is to use AI to simulate an entire software company. It's really just an idea for now, but it gives you this little glimpse into his super ambitious long-term thinking. All right, that brings us to our third major player, and their strategy is maybe the most direct, most blunt of them all. Anthropic's plan? It's simple. Amass a war chest so enormous that nobody can possibly ignore you.
Just think about this. A few weeks ago, the reports were that Anthropic was looking to raise $5 billion, and that already felt huge, right? Well, now, they've literally doubled that target to $10 billion, and apparently, they are having zero trouble finding investors willing to write those checks.
But here's the really crucial part. It's not just the amount of money, it's who is investing. I mean, sure, you've got the usual venture capital firms, but now Anthropic is tapping into sovereign wealth funds. We're talking about money from entire countries. This is a massive signal that the financial needs of this AI race have officially outgrown Silicon Valley. We're in the realm of global finance now. The appetite to get a piece of Anthropic is just immense. As the analyst Benedict Evans put it, if the company were to IPO today, its valuation could just rip straight to $500 billion, $500 billion. That just shows you the incredible confidence the market has in their tech and their whole approach.
So, okay, we've looked at these three giants, these three titans, and we're left with the big question. Which of these radically different strategies is actually the right one?
So let's just quickly recap these battle plans. On one side, you have Meta, and they're playing this hybrid game, building out their own massive infrastructure while also buying up elite, best-in-class technology. Then you have the challengers, taking different routes. You've got xAI, which is using open source as a strategic weapon to build a community and set a different tone. And then there's Anthropic, which is just going for sheer financial force, trying to outspend and outhire absolutely everyone else in the game.
So there you have it. 3 titans, 3 very different bets on what the future looks like. Will AI dominance be achieved by building the biggest machines, by buying the best taste, or by raising the biggest war chest the tech world has ever seen? Honestly, the answer to that question is going to define the next decade of technology for all of us.